Okay, well, good morning, church. Welcome to the State of the Communion here at the end of 2025. I've got some new things for you that you've never heard before. We're going to recap the year a little bit. I know that we still got people getting pancakes. That's totally fine. Do what you need to do. I had a great question right before we started. What happens to the poinsettias? If you would like to take a poinsettia home today, you can. They are for you. Take one of each. Take three. Let's get the most use out of them that we can. Some of them will make some visits, but we have way too many than we need at this point. If you'd like to adopt one or two, you are welcome to do so, especially in this place, in this space, because there is not a worship service in here today. So you're welcome to take those as you leave. Well, we started the year, a year of listening, with this Bible verse. Who knows what Isaiah 6:8 says? That's right. It says, "Here I am, Lord, send me." Here I am, Lord, send me. We spent a year listening. We had 600 touch points in our Project Isaiah task force. They worked tremendously hard over many, many months to give us our new strategic directions. You're going to hear more about what those are going to look like going forward. We're still working on that plan of implementation since they passed at our annual meeting a couple of weeks ago. You might remember that a big deal that happened is that we called Pastor Melinda in March. And it's been such a joy. It's been such a joy to work alongside her. She has put in a lot of effort of learning Lutheran ways of doing things. And really grateful for her. She even quoted Luther in her Christmas Eve sermon. I don't know if you heard that. So the indoctrination's going really well. No, obviously, we told her from the beginning, we don't want you to feel like you have to be anything that you're not, right? We believe that the future is ecumenical. There are some of us who are born and bred Lutheran. We're always going to be Lutheran. And we're just so excited to have more conversation about what the future of God's Catholic Church means. You know that word Catholic means universal. If it has a lowercase c, it means the universal church. So when we say that in the Apostles' Creed, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, that is for God's church, that is without denomination. And so we're always asking the question of how do we show up in the world as Christ the King Lutheran Church? What do we bring to the potluck of life from our Lutheran heritage? Well, one of the things that I'm really proud that we're bringing is this incredible partnership with Lord of Life in Garner. We've had a great year working with them, alongside them. We've picked up some things from the way that they do things. We did a meal packing Rise Against Hunger event. I know this isn't the picture from this year, but we did that together at Lord of Life. Pastor Athena bravely went over there and preached on the first Sunday in Advent, the very beginning of December, as this congregation has voted in council to begin the RIC process, the Reconciling in Christ process, where they're discerning if they're willing to put their name out there on the list as an open and affirming congregation of the LGBTQIA community. And one of my favorite stories from this day was that several of CTK people went over there just in case it got rowdy, to support Pastor Athena and to keep her safe. Of course, she preached a marvelous sermon. The walls didn't fall down, and that congregation has now had a gay preacher in their space, which, we learn by seeing. We learn by modeling. And so we have people coming up, people like Pastor Rachel, whose ordination we had, who, when she came to this church, said, I had never seen a gay preacher before. And that made her feel like she could become a Lutheran pastor, right? So there's so many things that we continue to inspire. The LGBTQIA group from CTK and Lord of Life spend time together. They've merged. Some of our members have joined over there to help in this Reconciling in Christ process. We're sharing musicians. They're doing tech the way we're doing tech, and they're doing some renovations. They're running what I call the Pastor Wolfgang playbook to perfection. They have already changed some of the carpet, and they're changing some things in the sanctuary. as we speak. They have upgraded their technology tremendously, and so very, very excited. This is one of those things where we have a covenant, but we didn't really have it has to be this way, and God has continued to provide vision for this relationship, and I think that that's really exciting. You heard me talk in the annual meeting about stewardship and how things have gone here at Christ the King this year. We've been running a significant deficit. The need has been great, and we're actually still below budget in what we've spent, but our giving, which is slightly above last year, is still lacking. If you can consider making a year-end gift, and Pat, this is the last time I'm going to quote you repeatedly here, we are a bold church. The people who are members here are behind what we do. I think we need to let them know that their support is vital to keep the work we are doing. At the annual meeting, I told you about not being a church that says, what if? That gets worried about all the bad things that could go wrong that are outside of our control, and being an even if church, that no matter what's going on that we can't control in our nation and in the world, even if we're going to show up like Jesus, even if church membership is in decline all over the country, we're going to still do the work that we do. Even if the needs are greater when SNAP benefits get cut, when our neighbors are worried to leave their homes, even if we're going to show up in the name of Jesus. And I'm very, very proud and fired up about all that this church has done on those things. I saw Chris D'Amico here a little while ago. I think maybe he is still eating his pancakes. But we have Chris D'Amico tendered his resignation in November because he's going to go back and be a school bus driver so that he can be on his daughter's schedule. He said he started this job and he wasn't engaged, and now he's engaged to be married, and he's thinking about health insurance and all those adulting things that happen. We had a really great year together learning how to do visitor engagement, and we're getting really good at this. And so I wanted to say thanks to Georgina, where's Georgina, and Susan for their tremendous work. Georgina planned and helped stuff 100 visitor bags for Christmas Eve that were different from the Advent bags and will be different next year as well. Right now, I'm picking up a significant portion of Chris's workload. Hopefully, that's not a long-term strategy. But again, this is a thing where when we're in a budget deficit and we have to cut, we have to do things differently. And, I'm trying to shield the staff from being able to, or from having to pick up more work. But it is helping me learn and appreciate all that goes in to visitor engagement. And quite frankly, it's been a lot of fun to be one of the first people to reach out to visitors, via text or email and say, hey, let's get coffee or something. That's been really joyful. We already have 15 people signed up for our next new members class, which is in January. So very excited about that. You know that what used to be called the SEA ministry team, Social Justice, Evangelism, and Advocacy, has changed its name to Community Engagement. How are we engaging the community around us? And that we piloted something in 2025 that we called the quarterly emphasis, where each 90 days we changed our focus. Yeah. And that went really well for us. The goal is to leverage the congregation's talents so that we're all rowing in the same direction. And what often happens when you do advocacy and justice work is you feel like you have to do everything, everywhere, all at once. That leads to burnout. That leads to a congregation not really knowing what the focus is. So I can tell you now that these are the 4 foci for 2026. Quarter 1 is going to be strengthening democracy. How do we engage in conversations with people on the other side of whatever your side is of the political aisle? How do we preserve things that are in danger, specifically voter rights? We know that gerrymandering is a huge concern nationally, and it feels like, objectively, it's getting worse. On both sides, in blue states, the gerrymandering, the way we're redistricting benefits blue, and in red states, they're being rewritten to benefit red. That's all going to get worse unless we work on getting better. Again, even if, right? Even if. We're going to help have those conversations in healthy, respectful, and responsible ways. This Strengthening Democracy team, I know because I see the emails, they're working very, very hard, and they're very excited about this. A lot of the Wednesday nights will be guest speakers and things coming in to talk about that in quarter one. Quarter two, we're leaning into eco-justice right around Earth Day. The Saturday before Earth Day, there'll be some sort of activity here that will have a component that you can then do at home on Earth Day, which I believe Earth Day is a Wednesday. So the Saturday before Earth Day and then Earth Day. Quarter three is probably always going to be food insecurity. That's when we do the Feed the Need, where we cut worship in half and we all go to the grocery store together. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do Rise Against Hunger, probably with Lord of Life again. And that's always quarter three. And then quarter four, we haven't fully, detailed this out yet. But we're going to talk about mental health. In this season, right now that we're in, is the highest concern for mental health. As you likely know, when the nights are long, when the holiday seasons hit, I think maybe all of us have a tinge of sadness on Christmas of people who aren't with us, or the way the world isn't perfect, and all of those things. So we're going to lean into that. If you've got some ideas, we'd love to hear them. The goal with having 4 quarters is that you, even if you're not on this total planning team, you could pick a quarter for your family and say, we're going to sprint. We're going to sprint, and rather than we have to be marathoners, yeah? And the goal there, again, is to get the congregation engaged as much as possible in the work that we do, and not just have the same 20 or 30 people getting burnt out over and over again. So this is a way for you, as you set your intentions for 2026. Pastor Peter was concerned about the lack of New Year's resolutions that we heard this morning. And so, if you're thinking about doing something, I highly recommend you spend some time in thought and prayer, quiet time on these. Pastor Peter is on staff now. We're very excited to have Pastor Peter, who started out the beginning of 2025 in an interim capacity while we were waiting for Pastor Melinda to start. And then we brought him back for Peter 2.0 when Pastor Athena was on maternity leave. And he pitched some senior ministry ideas. And so we've been really excited about that. And Wisdom Club and his Monday book group, these people they have a cult-like following to this Monday noon thing, that even when the office was closed for impending snow, they still showed up, and we had to tell them, you can come in and stay warm, but the group's not meeting today. Really grateful and exciting for all of those things. And of course, Tyler, I didn't get a picture of Tyler on here, but it's been really great to have kind of these generations, right? All the way across, and really rounding out the support that we can give, right? The different experiences that the different pastors bring. It's really fun when we get together. We have 3 meetings a week that are kind of on the schedule. And when the pastors get together, it's really fun to kind of popcorn those ideas around because we have different worldviews. This picture was taken on a day where we were signing letters. We never told you that we did this, but there was concern about inmates and how they were being treated in penitentiaries here in North Carolina. And it was sort of a quick action thing. And so we got some letters, and we wrote them, and we all signed them, and we sent them off. So it's always great when we can leverage each other's passion for ministry. So I just wanted to tell you that. Also this year, that we celebrated not 1, but 2 new pastors in the ELCA from our congregation. I mean, that is so exciting and overwhelming. It's been thoroughly a joy to watch them grow. Not that they needed us any more than we needed them, but really great. And Tyler now, he brings me his seminary papers, and I have to look up a couple words that he uses every now and then, and it's just a high tide that lifts all boats. For us to still be engaged in theological education, for them to learn some of the things we do and learn some things that he does not want to do that we do. Those things are so, so helpful. I think back all the time to the people who paved the way for me, and again, it's just part of a healthy, thriving church when we can not only be looking to the past, but also looking to the future. This time in July at the State of the Communion, I told you my plan was to write a play, and I did. 68-page play. We had our first read-through. There's 30-ish people in the cast, and it's coming soon. So we're very, very excited about this, and we're going to do that and coincide it with a fundraiser that I'll tell you about in a little bit. In 2025, our membership is up 1%, and our giving is up 1%. Okay? That might not feel like much, but if you've seen a graph of the ELCA, I'll tell you this is bucking the trend. So just really exciting to be vibrant, to be a place where visitors do show up and they say, I've already heard about your church. I've already been online, I read your website, I was on Reddit and I heard about your church. I was engaging in a conversation that was on the Cary Facebook page last night where somebody was looking for churches. So just really grateful for that. Okay, shifting to you heard it here first. These are all things we have not told you yet, that you don't know about yet. The first one is what's happening with our digital campus. Remember, we've been talking about bringing a pastor alongside that. For that, we wrote a call document to call a part-time, quarter-time pastor. That's the minimum requirement in order for it to be considered a call in the ELCA, quarter time, 10 to 12 hours a week. And we wrote for 2 grants, and we got both of them. So this position for 2026 is 97% funded already. And it's just, this is an if you build it, hopefully they will come scenario where we've been looking. We've talked to 3 pastors now, and the first 2 were really excited and couldn't make it work with their families. We're asking you to give up some of your Sunday and do, you couldn't have another full-time pastor gig and do this, right? So we're looking for somebody who maybe has other work or has a part-time thing somewhere else, and so that's taken a while. I'm proud to tell you that we do have a candidate for this digital campus. This is a 2-year term call. We've met with her twice. This last week, she met with the executive committee on Christmas Eve. We hopped on a Zoom call. I just saw John. John's in the back. John was on that call, and Ginger, I don't think Ginger's here. Oh, Ginger's sailing to Antarctica. That's what she told us, yeah. I was like, come again? Is that true? They really are. But there were several of us on that call. The next step will be I'm meeting with this person, with her and her husband, who's also a pastor. Next week, I'm meeting with them in person, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And then if things continue to go well, she'll meet with the council, who is serving as the call committee for this very niche, specialized call. And then if all goes well there, we would bring her in. We'd fly her in to meet you all. If we want her husband to come too, and he works on Sundays, so that might be like a Wednesday night, yeah? We might have her come preach on a Wednesday or something like that. So all of that's very exciting. There's still some ifs, right, to happen there, but very excited about that. And I think she could be incredibly good at this thing. It's very niche, right? You have to be willing to evangelize, be popular on social media or good at it on social media. You have to have a heart for Lutheran theology. You have to be willing to work with us. And you have to sort of be able to shuffle it in your schedule. So just like waiting for Pastor Melinda took almost a year, this one's going to take almost a year, but it's going to be worth it, I think. So very excited about that. This one's maybe not as exciting. I think it's cool, but it's also kind of niche. The title on my name tag is going to shift from senior pastor to lead pastor starting January the 1st. We've been talking about this for a while. Lots of churches are doing this. It's an updated language. There was a time, perhaps you remember, when churches had a senior pastor and a junior pastor. Do you remember that? And so churches have changed that junior pastor language to associate, and now they're changing senior pastor to lead pastor. I like it a lot because it's much less patriarchal. Senior pastor makes me sound older than I am. And it always felt confusing because my signature always said Daniel Pugh Jr., which is my name, senior pastor. So it's a name tag thing. It'll be in my email signature. Nothing's changing in the way that we operate, but I really like the language because I think it also honors the great work that our associate pastors are doing. And it's not a less than, it's a this is the job description for this person, right? It's not that one person's better or more powerful or stronger, et cetera, than somebody else. It's that my job description has a little bit more like ulcers in it than their job descriptions do, right? But I think that that's going to be a good change. If you want to talk about that, I'd be happy to. I know you like pancakes because you showed up today. And I'm proud to tell you that this Shrove Tuesday, there will be pancakes. We haven't done this the whole time I've been here. I don't know if have y'all had pancake suppers in the past? On Shrove Tuesday, on the day before Lent? Well, anybody been from a church that did it? A lot of fun. We will have pancakes. This came from the Scouts, okay? So a little bit more language change for you. The Boy Scouts of America no longer exist. They are called Scouting America because it is gender inclusive language to call it Scouting America. In fact, we have a Scouting America troop that is only for girls that meets here that are not Girl Scouts. Yeah? We have phenomenal Scouting America leaders in this congregation. Adam and Liz and Andrew Scholl and Jeff Hoffert and many, many others have been doing this faithfully for years. If you're here on a Monday or a Tuesday night, you can't help but run into them and see some of their joy and be like, I kind of want to show up to that Pinewood Derby. And that looks like fun to me. They came to us. And by the way, they also did all the luminaries this year. They put it out. They are they're very inspiring in the way that they want to be part of the church. They don't want to be separate. They want to do more together. And they want to leverage their gifts and stuff for the betterment of the church. So that's really exciting. And they came to us and said, we want to come cook pancakes. And I said, if it's fine with Chef Chris, it's fine with me. And Chef Chris said, hey, somebody else wants to cook? I'll take it. So, I don't know. I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be good. Maybe it's a new tradition. You never know. Here's something else you don't know. We have a new bishop, Emily Hartner. Cameron was dressed for her installation because he is now the lay leader of the North Carolina Synod of the whole state. And as soon as she became bishop, I filled out the little request to get her to come preach here at Christ the King. And I didn't just go for a low Sunday. I went for Palm Sunday. And she's going to preach here on all 4 services on Palm Sunday. Isn't that exciting? It's going to be her first. By the way, her first ordination was on this stage a couple months ago. And I remember meeting with her. She and I started around the same time. We did a lot of first call work together. And I remember meeting with her right before. She goes, just so you know, I've never done this before. So if I look at you, just, smile and nod that we're doing this the right way. She's great. I think you're going to love her. She's a really good preacher. I think we're going to wear her out. I don't know if she's ever preached 4 times on a single Sunday, but really looking forward to that. And the processional, and we're going to go high church that day. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited about that. Here's something else you don't know, and this one might be a little bit of a shock for you, but I want you to know this is a conversation, okay? Has anything been decided? No, this is a conversation. We had a conversation this year, which I was very happy for, that went very well, about whether or not to change the name of our church, and we've decided that we're going to stick with the name Christ the King Lutheran Church. That although there was a lot of good discussion about that, particularly as our community was doing these No Kings protests, it kind of felt like the conversation had come to the fore. And so a way we've thought, and we've been talking a lot about, if we want to call Jesus a king, Jesus is a very different kind of king than what we think of when we think of a king. And so one of the things we've been discussing is maybe a brand update and some conversation about perhaps a secondary logo or a second logo for Christ the King and a new color palette. And if you get really nerdy, I'll tell you about the fonts that we're selecting. So the font in the brand kit has been approved, and now we're talking about logos, okay? So these are the brand colors. You notice that the new colors still have purple and gold, but if you nerd out on colors, you know that they have a space on a wheel, and you try and find colors that are this is true, perfectly symmetrical to those colors on the same wheel. And so Pastor Jeff Linman, who works for Comic Book Creative, who does all of our video editing, he also does this. And so he's come up with some new colors, and then this is the brand kit. So these would be all the colors that go along with it, which I quite like. And then he asked about a logo. He just did a logo for Lord of Life, that they now have a new sign out front of their church with their new logo on it that looks really cool. And so we're in conversation with him about coming up, pitching some ideas. So if you'd like to be part of that conversation, I'd welcome you to be. We can't have this conversation as a whole congregation. You ever heard about too many cooks in the kitchen, right? We would just never agree on something. But this is not, we're not gatekeeping this. We're not having a conversation behind closed doors. If you'd like to be part of that, you are more than welcome to. Love to talk to you about that. And we're trying to follow the lead of the designer because A, it's his job, and B, he's far more objective, yeah? And so I just think that that's a really healthy relationship. I will just give you a little bit of a tease that he's considering a logo that has something to do with the dogwood, because the dogwood is the state flower of North Carolina, and it's the state tree of North Carolina. Apologies. Is that right? It is the state flower. The state tree is the oak. Yeah. And the state... Fifth grade teachers very proud of this conversation here. All right. We need a no heckling sign, I think. So, let me start that again. The flower of the town of Cary is the dogwood. It is on the official logo and seal, and here you can see it on our park signs. So, that's the beginning of a conversation. Happy to talk with you more about that later. It would be kind of cool, I think. I think we're ready for some new merch, you know. I'd love some polo shirts or something, you know, so maybe we're headed in that direction. Whenever I see other pastors who get to wear polo shirts of like their church's logo, I get very jealous. Maybe that's a me thing. I told you we're going to do a play, and in April, we've run a fundraiser for each of the last 5 years. We did one on Lutheran Services Carolinas. If you remember, we raised over $100,000. We did one for solar panels, where we raised $80,000. We did one for Families Together, where we leveraged money that our people had given there, so I'm really not sure what that number is, but it was really good as well. And so we kind of had a little bit of a rotation of like one for the community, and then one for our property, and then one for the community. This is our most used space that you're in, without question. This space is used all the time, even in ways that you don't think about, like AP testing and theater camps that use it in the summer. This space gets used all the time. It's in really good shape, considering that almost everything in here is original from 2000, 2001, when this space was built, including the HVACs, which were put on the roof. There's 2 of them in 2000 and in 2001. So I don't know how much you know about HVACs, but borrowed time might be a phrase that I would use at this point for them. They've been running well. My preference would be to replace them before they go out in the summer. Yeah? So that and some other updates that we'd like to do in this space. We're just continuing to update things as we can. The good news is that the building is in really good shape in a lot of other areas, and so this is going to be our focus for this fundraiser. Nagle Hall, its HVACs, etc. And conversations maybe about getting new chairs and some of the tap technology where you can just tap your phone and it'll pull up the Connect form, or it'll pull up how to give, and we're nerding out on some of that as well. So just looking forward to this fundraiser in April. An update on a fundraiser we ran 2 years ago where we put solar panels on the roof of this building, which you might remember. And as of last week, we now have 68 solar panels in phase 2 on top of the sanctuary. How exciting is that? We have, Chris, how many? 135 solar panels or something in that range now on the roof of our building. You can always look at ctkcary.com/solar, which is a kind of a link. It's not actually a website, but it takes you to the page where you can monitor in real time what our solar output is. I'm waiting for it to jump up, but of course it's been cold and there's not a lot of sun this part of the year, which is probably why they took our big job in December, right? Because things had slowed down for them. But as the year goes on, we're going to get more and more. We use a lot of electricity. Our building is like 50,000 square feet of heating and cooling and electricity. And so we're going to get a higher percentage of our building will be covered by solar. We're still considering adding a couple of charging stations over here. Again, I told you last year, if we had a surplus, we would do that. Still waiting on that surplus, and that would be a priority for us sometime in the future. So very exciting about that, and living into the creation care that is a huge part of our identity here at Christ the King. This is another little niche thing, but I think it's going to have a big impact, and I'm so excited to tell you that the doors have numbers on them. Okay? This is a little thing, but if you've ever tried to give somebody directions to the office or to the chapel or to Nagle Hall, you're like, okay, you're looking at the building. You need to follow the breezeway that's in the middle, but not the left middle, the right middle, that goes by the prayer garden. Now, all the doors have numbers, starting with this one, which is door number 1, and they go all the way around, okay? So I was in Iowa, and I was visiting a church in Iowa in October, and I just loved that all their buildings, all their doors had numbers on them. It's very visitor-focused, visitor-friendly, and all those things. So, like, we're going to make a video this year of, like, prepare your visit. A lot of people like to know what they're going to expect before they show up these days. And it'll be, come in doors 2 through 5. You'll enter the atrium, and in front of you will be the connection desk. So if you're using if you're using the chapel or West Fellowship, and you're inviting people from outside, you can say, look at the building numbers, and you're looking for this door and this number. I don't know. Super exciting stuff. Aren't you excited? I was very excited, thanks to our property guys who shared some of my excitement for doors with numbers on them. Here's something that I'm really excited about, and I got more excited about it in the reading today. But I haven't told you this much, but in about 10 days, I'm headed to Egypt. I'm going to take a trip to Egypt that is only for pastors and spouses. Caroline Lewis, who's a famous theologian in the Lutheran world, is going to lead Bible study every day, and I got really excited about it because our text was about them fleeing to Egypt. The Magi come and tell Joseph and Mary and baby Jesus to flee to Egypt, and that day is called Epiphany. And on Epiphany, I'll be headed to Egypt. So I don't know. I think that's really cool. There's a group chat full of really nerdy pastors that I get into, that we all have together for the trip, and I'm really excited about this. Sometimes my job can be logistical, right? And I'm really excited to replenish that spiritual well. Yeah. Footsteps of Moses plus, right? So we're going to go to the pyramids and the Sphinx, and there's a brand new museum there, and we're going to go do that. And then the second picture is Mount Sinai. So we're going to hike up Mount Sinai for sunrise. So Really excited. Mount Sinai is where Moses got the Ten Commandments. So we're going to wait for some divine revelations up there. Really excited about this trip. And while I'm there, I'm going to be working on a new curriculum, because one of the things that we heard in all of our listening in 2025 was that people wanted more small groups, that the church can feel large and they want to get to know a small number of people a lot better. And so we are being intentional about spending some time and focusing on how to do that. And so we're going to pilot a new program during Lent, a small group program during Lent. And so I'm going to be writing that curriculum while I'm in Egypt and, on various airplanes. And we're going to begin that in Lent as, again, a little bit more of a sprint than a marathon. Yeah? So some small groups meet every week, rain or shine. In other places, we're just going to focus on 6 weeks. I'm going to ask you to commit to these 6 weeks of meeting together with your small group and see what hits, right? If it's a, oh yeah, we'll keep doing it that way. If it's a, this was fine, but we were going to pivot, we'll go do something else. We're not afraid to try new things. What I suspect is several of the groups, it's going to be an oh yeah. And some of them, it's going to be, this was fine and dandy, and we're ready to do something new. That's totally fine. Unless it's an oh yeah, we can move on to do the next thing. So small groups during Lent, during this Sunday school hour. So if you want to get that in your mental calendar or on your physical calendar, your Gmail calendar, your Google calendar, I encourage you to do so. We're gonna do that in a variety of ways. There will be some offerings that group you by age and by place in life, right? I'm working on one for Ashley and my sort of age group called Growing, Going, Gone, right? Where our children are doing that. They're growing. So some of the groups will be by where they are in the station in life. But we've also heard, specifically from our young adults, that they want to be in a room with people who are very different from them. And so some of them will be potpourri, hodgepodge, right, kinds of things. Some of them will be, we're all, I don't know, we all work out, or we're all runners, or something like that. So we're going to launch this in Lent. So I'm really excited about that. And Nikisha, who's back there, this was one of her ideas, actually, is that she came from a church that did small groups and did them well. And she said, you know what, I love this church, but I missed that. And so we've been talking about that, and we're going to give it a try. So really excited about that. This is my last slide. Last thing to say is just how much joy there's been in this church, that this place is a sanctuary in many, many ways. And I feel safe here. I know you feel safe here. We worked on a whole policy so that people can feel safe in our building, and just really grateful for that. And that works out best when we trust each other, when we lean into each other, when we honor each other's confidentiality and each other's relationships. And one of the things that grows is that relationships grow organically. And so the thing that I'm most proud of in 2025, I had nothing to do with. In fact, really no one on staff did. But it's that our youth...
Come on.
You did not even know I had this slide up here. I didn't tell any of them. They're just that excited. Our youth and Jack have put together their own small group. They did it themselves. We didn't tell them to do it. We didn't guide them. In fact, if we had, they probably wouldn't have done it. But the kids are all right. And there are a few things that show the health and vitality of a congregation better than the youth wanting to engage with each other and with God. So I want to say thank you for a great year of joy in each other's presence and joy in praising of God. The state of the communion is strong, and we're very excited about 2026. So let's say a prayer. Dear God, thank you for this congregation, for the ways that you have led us through this year, that we've listened for your calling. Thank you for the new pastors from this congregation. Thank you for the joy of listening and strategic directions and bold action in our community. Help us to continue to be leaders in our community and followers of your will your will be done here on earth as in heaven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thanks for coming. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.